Okay, good afternoon. So I'm Eric Ottoir, and together with my colleague Sébastien, we will explain you how with the IBM and rational tools you can manage a complete application lifecycle for mobile applications, going from the requirements till the actual implementation and testing of such an application. Now, we are going to try to keep this the presentation very short and mostly focus on showing you things. So first, let us introduce ourselves a little bit. So I'm Eric Ottoir. I'm already since quite a long time at IBM, and I've been involved with all kinds of development subjects, development technologies over those years. Quite a lot of Java, but also other kind of technologies. And currently, I'm actually a solution architect on the rational tools.
And my name is Sébastien. Good afternoon to everyone. I've written my first Hello World in Java back 17 years ago, at the time before the first release of JDK 1.0. I'm doing mobile development on iOS and Android since the last 4 years. I joined IBM 1 year ago, and before that I spent almost 10 years of my professional life at Sun Microsystems. And this year it's also my 10th Devox I'm attending. So one of the two tools we're going to use during the demonstration is IBM Worklight. Worklight is actually a development tool to build mobile hybrid applications. So let's just do a few words about what is an hybrid application. You know that when you're doing a mobile application, you can either choose to deliver a web-based application, which is tailored for the small screen factor of an iPad or iPhone or Android phone. That's mostly a website that is just tailored to the device you're targeting. The problem with that is that your application is difficult to find. You have to ship an URL to let users find your application. And your application is not distributed to the App Store. For you as a developer, it's probably not a problem, but for the marketing guys of your company, most of the time it's very important to have some kind of visibility on the application. And with mobile application, you cannot access the device functionalities. You cannot access the GPS, or it's difficult to access the GPS. You cannot access the camera if you want to use the camera, or the compass, or other the NFC readers on some Android phones, and so on. So it's quick and easy to develop because you don't have to learn a native language, but you have some limitation and you have to know about these limitations. On the other way of the slide, downloadable application, native apps, but you have to learn Objective-C for iOS, you have to learn Java, obviously you know that one already. You produce a binary that you can upload to the Apple Store or to the Google Play Store. You have visibility on the store, which is good for marketing. You have full access to the device capabilities, but the learning curve is a little bit more complex. And most importantly, you have to do one development for every platform you are targeting. One development for iOS, one development for Android. And the only thing you can reuse, besides backend services, it's mostly the graphical elements. All the rest has to be developed, maintained, tested several times. So the best of both worlds will be to combine the cross-platform things of browser access with the native capabilities of native application. And this is what an hybrid application is. An hybrid application is an application that will run HTML, JavaScript, style sheet, CSS into a native container. We do ship the native container for you. You don't have to implement it. We ship a container for iOS, for Android, for BlackBerries, for Windows, and you write just cross-platform code, HTML, JavaScript code. So you have kind of both roles because it's a native app underneath the container. You can distribute that on the App Store or the Play Store. You have a full access to device capabilities, but you have the cross-platform advantage of browser. This is the type of application you can develop with Worklight. So Worklight, what is it? It's a cross-platform development environment allowing to develop Android, iOS application that connects back to your data center, to your existing data set and data services. The big part that you will be used, I hope you will use most of the day, it's an IDE, a development environment based on Eclipse. It's a couple of plugins in Eclipse that allows you to do drag and drop development on top of popular JavaScript frameworks like Dojo or jQuery or Sencha Touch. We do also ship Apache Cordova, which is known as PhoneGap as well. To allow you to access the native device capabilities. So that's one brick of Worklight. The other brick is actually a server-side component. Every mobile application developed with Worklight talks to the Worklight server. And the server is the piece of code where you will put your adapters to connect back to the backend. So this is where you will develop small JavaScript code to connect to existing web services, SOAP or REST, to existing database, to GMS and stuff like that. This is also where we're going to put some security to ensure that the people using the application have the right to access the data on the backend. And the third part of Worklight, it's a couple of JavaScript libraries that we ship as part of the deployment on the mobile device with the open source Dojo or jQuery libraries, for example, with Apache Cordova and a couple of IBM JavaScript libraries. So Worklight, it's free for developer. You can download it from Eclipse Marketplace. You can try it tonight. An IDE, a server, and a bunch of JavaScript libraries.
Okay, so that is one tool which we will show, but we know that there is more to building mobile applications than just writing the code. So we think it's also important that this tool integrates well with the whole life cycle, going from the requirements over how do you test those applications and all those kind of things. So, and there, the solution that we will show you today will be based on the rational collaborative lifecycle management solution. Some people might have heard about the IBM Jazz platform. That is basically the platform on which the solution is built. And the solution will basically allow you to manage all the code you develop and have also traceability, and that's also things which we will show in the demonstration. We will have traceability between what is requested from the people in the business towards what is happening in the development, how do we plan, how are we progressing on this, and then finally how do we test those things. And then obviously we will also keep track of all kinds of information, like where are there eventually some bugs, where are there some problems, and how do they get resolved. Now, within that solution, there is a number of components. We will start out with a tool called Requirements Composer for requirements management. We will have the tool Rational Team Concert, which will be all about the change and configuration management, but also managing your planning. So we will see that we will be able to work in an agile way and manage, and the demo which we will use a kind of Scrum-like setup, which will be managed in the Rational Team Concert. Then from a viewpoint of build management, the Team Concert will also contain a number of build automation utilities, which we will see can allow you to integrate with the Worklight tools to automate the build and then look at the build results, follow what is happening with the build results, see the log files and all those kind of things. The third part of the solution is the quality management, so Rational Quality Manager. That will be the tool that can be used to manage your test team, to plan the work of the people doing the tests, and to manage also manual and automated scripts. In the demonstration we will use a manual script, but this tool can also be combined with all kinds of test automation solutions. Now, I could still explain a lot about all these tools, but that's not the purpose of today. If somebody wants more information about one of the particular tools, we can always help you also at the IBM booth. So one more thing about these tools. So there is also some integration between the Worklight tool, which Sebastian was explaining, and the rational lifecycle management tools. So there is in the Worklight tool, there is also a number of components that help you with building applications for the different kind of platforms. So the Worklight will allow you to build for those environments that you have configured, and that build engine can also be integrated with the build automation in the team consort, and we will also show you that in the demonstration. And then another component that will be used within this is the Worklight also contains a local app store where you can store your applications, and we will show you that. So when applications are ready for testing, they will be stored in that app store so that I can load them onto devices, or eventually, in the case of the demonstration, we will load them onto an Android emulator to test the application. Now, before we go into the demo, just a little bit of an explanation on what the demo is. In fact, we will start from a viewpoint of an application that is already in the running. So there is already some work that has been done on this application. It's a simple application where people could decide. It's basically an investment application where you could decide to donate parts of the returns of your investment to charity organizations. So that's the kind of context of the application. A large part of the application has already been developed, but we will show you how you can add to it, and in that way we will be able to show you all the tools. So here is the scenario that we will run to. So we will basically play with the two of us. We will play three roles. So first of all, I will play the role of the Scrum Master. So I will be, I get a new story that is coming into my backlog, and now the first thing I'm going to do is investigate what is the story about, what do I really need to do, and then I will update the planning so that a developer can then start to do the work. So then Sebastian will play the role of the developer. So he will work in the Worklight studio. So there he will see, okay, there is a new to-do item coming in, so I have to do some work. He will look at what the work actually is. He will be able to look at the requirements that have been documented, etc., all directly from his Worklight studio, and then he will implement. We will actually in the demonstration not do the implementation here on site, because that would obviously take a lot of typing and all those kind of things, which is not very interesting. The implementation will be mostly done, but we will simulate the implementation, and as such we will be able to show you a bit of the Worklight tool. So then he will build and do a quick test of what he has developed, and then he thinks, okay, I'm ready now, I can close this story, and the testers can start to do their work. So then I will take over again and play the role of the tester and test the application. And just for being able to show you something, we have in fact made a defect in the implementation. So as a tester, I will find that defect and I will file a defect. And then it will go back to the Scrum Master, who will say, there is a defect that urgently needs to be fixed. So I can plan this, I will plan it also in the iteration, and then the developer can again do his work and fix the defect. So that's basically the scenario. So let's now go to the tools. Okay, so as said, the first thing I will do is play the role of the Scrum Master. So I will log in, and the user ID I will use for this demonstration is Marco. So when I log in as Marco, I'm actually playing the role of the Scrum Master. And I'm logging in this tool called Rational Team Concert, and I see there is already some projects, and I open this project. And because there is already quite a few things that happened on the project, you see all these items in the dashboard. So the dashboard can give me, as a Scrum Master, some idea of what kind of things happened, recent activity, and all those kind of things. So one of the things which, as a Scrum Master, I'm obviously interested in is the planning. So if I have in this dashboard, and that's fully customizable how it looks like, but now in this dashboard I see that in my planning view I have a number of plans already, and I see that I have the current iteration is sprint 2. So actually we have already one sprint which was finished, in which a part of the functionality has been delivered, and we are actually now simulating that we are working in this second sprint. Now, just before we're gonna actually do the planning of that sprint, let me show you the work that has already happened in the sprint 1. So therefore I open the sprint 1 plan, and I want to see it as a task board. And so there, in fact, I can see that there is a number of stories which have been selected for that first sprint, which already have a number of corresponding tasks which are in the state resolved, so that work is finished. And I can also see that there has been found in that sprint a number of defects, and those defects have luckily also been fixed. Just by hovering over it, I can see more information about them, etc. So let's now go back to the backlog. So if I look now in the release 1 backlog, so here I have a number of stories which have not yet been planned. And the story that we're gonna use for this demonstration is the first one which you can see: allocate dividends to nearby charities. Now, that story came in, so as a Scrum Master, I can start to look first, what is this about? So if I open that, I can see some people filled out some information, a description. So they say, okay, it would be good that our application, instead of just having a static list of charities where I can give my my money to, that there is also a location-based list of charities which shows me the charity organizations in my neighborhood, for example. So that's kind of the functionality that we would need to implement. And in this solution of lifecycle management, we also have traceability to some other information. For example, we can see that somebody has been documenting this requirement to a little bit more detail. So I can click on this and open this. And then I get the information, the documentation that that person has been doing. So I see here a little bit more of a description. So as the Scrum Master, I can now look what do they exactly mean. They have actually also added a screenshot of how it would need to look like, etc. So I can use this to figure out whether we really want to implement this story right now. If I'm satisfied by this, I can basically here have also a formal review. It's not imperative, but in this case they put a formal review on it. So I give my approval and I say, okay, this is fine. We're gonna implement this story. And actually, I want this story to be implemented right now in this iteration, so I plan it for the sprint 2. And if I look in the links, I see that for the story there is already a test case defined, so I can see there is a test case with some information, and we will see later on there is already a script behind it. But I see that there is not yet any implementation task defined, so what I will do is I will say, let's make a child task. Which which is the implementation of that local charity functionality. I can categorize it, and that will be again of importance for the dashboard. So I say this is work on the mobile part of the application. I can assign it to somebody, so I will assign it to one of my developers. I can give it the priority, so I say it's high priority, and we're gonna plan this for this sprint. Save. So that's it. Let's move one back. So let's save the story. And if now I go back to my plans, so if I look now at the plan, the sprint 2 plan, if I look now, I see that in the work basket of my developer DApp, there is basically this implementation task for the story. So that's my work as a Scrum Master. So now I can hand over back to the developer.
So my name will be Deb. I'm taking my developer hat, and I'm opening Worklight. So Worklight, I told you, it's Eclipse with a bunch of plugins. We have two types of plugins in this setup, the one for Worklight and the one for Rational Team Concerts. The one for Team Concerts let me connect to the same repository as Marco was working before, and I can have access to different information like the build engine, I will talk about this a little bit later, to the plans, the test plan, the source control, and many of the other things. I also have a basket of tasks that are incoming, that are pushed by the server. And here in my inbox of tasks, I have a new task which has been defined, implement local charity function, which is for sprint 2. So I can open that task directly in my development environment and see the priority, the history of the task, who has been assigned that to me. And in the links part, or let's, before the links, go to the parent story of that, so I can have some context about the parent story of this task. I can see who has accepted it, and in the link part, I can also access to the requirements. Oops, it's there. And open the requirements. So as a developer, I can connect to RTC in a moment. Connect as Deb and see the details of the requirement, the one that you have already seen with the Scrum Master. Once again, in the links, I can sometimes have more details, like illustration about the requirements. So in this case, the guys that created the requirement for me create a set of screen flows that they'd like to see to implement that requirement, and so on and so on. So as a developer, I can learn and discover all that, and then go back to my tool to actually take my task and indicate that I do start to work on this task. I will also accept that task as planned for sprint 2, and the task will move from my inbox to my current work. When I really start to work on that task, I will just drag and drop it here so that it can associate all the change that I will do in the IDE to that task. This will be used later when I will check in my code for this task. So you can see now that the task is in progress, and as a developer I can start to do my work of developer, meaning changing code, writing screens, and stuff like that. I take the occasion to show you a little bit about Worklight. When you create an application under Worklight, there is a common directory which will hold your HTML files, your JavaScript files, your image, and your style sheets. And then for each and every environment, so platform you do target, like iPhone, iPad, Android, BlackBerry, Windows, and so on, we do create one dedicated directory containing dedicated JavaScript for Android, dedicated image, dedicated style sheet, and so on. You get it. So at the time we build the project, we will merge the common part of the project and the specific part of the project to create a real project that you can use in the native application development environment. So for Android, it's Eclipse. We are not changing the tool. For iOS, it's Xcode. If you are on a Mac, you can start Xcode directly from Eclipse from Worklight. I can test that very quickly on an in-browser simulator. So when I'm deploying this change, it deploys the artifact of the application onto the Worklight server, and I can test that from a browser. I can also test directly from within the Android emulator. So let's start my Android emulator. Start. Oops. So it's starting from a snapshot. It should be quite fast. And now that my emulator is started, I will actually run this application, not this one, which is the native Android application that has been generated by Worklight. I can say run as Android application and follow that console to see the progress of it. And that's the DDMS. Okay, so it's currently uploading the APK file to the emulator. The very first time it takes some time. It takes some seconds to actually load the application, to start it, and to attach the debugger to it. So it's now installing the APK on the emulator. In a few seconds it should start the APK. Yes, starting activity, starting intent. So we should see the screen arriving, coming in there. Yes, JKE mobile application. The mouse is moving by itself. And here we are, almost. You can replace that white screen with a branding screen of your choice. And we have the application running on the Android emulator. It should be a little bit faster than that. Okay. Okay, let's continue and pretend that I can log in. I tested this application and I found it as a developer that it's actually working. I'm killing my emulator, and I will tell now Rational Team Concert that I'm done with the change. I've implemented all required change for that. So I'm going back to my project. I will use RTC to do the check-in of my code. So he's checking in my code to the server, but not publishing it for the rest of the team yet. I still have some steps to do that. Before publishing my code for the rest of the team, I will start a build of my code. So I will use a centralized build system where the code will be compiled to generate a binary ready for distribution for the rest of the team. So let's go back to my build system. Let's choose the dev Android build, and let's request a new build for the code I've just checked in. So I'm submitting that batch, and you see that there is a list of previously built that have been done on that system. The build here will take some time as well to just extract everything from the source code control, launch the AND script to build everything, to build the binaries, and as Eric said, to publish the binary to the private app store of your enterprise. That's one of the components in Worklight. We have a private app store like the Google Play App Store or the Apple App Store, but private to your enterprise. That's a vehicle to distribute your own application to your employee. For each and every build, I can have a dashboard saying how the build went. To see the changes that were associated to a build, I can see that for that build a couple of days ago, these are the changes that have been included into that build. And I can have the detail of the task, the comment from the developer, the comment from the Scrum Master, and so on, and so on. So he's still building. Oops. See, there is still some activities on the CPU. It's compiling, it's staging files, moving files around. Something else to show on the build while waiting? Up, and the build is done. So now that the build is done, I can close my task, saying it's not in progress anymore, it's completed. So I can save it. And yes, I didn't publish my change to the rest of the team, so I will deliver this change right now at the same step. So this is equivalent to going to the project, right-clicking, team, and do deliver changes. And yeah, so the story is for you, it's not for me. So I'm keeping the story in, let's say, set implemented. Oops. And as a developer, I think I've correctly tested my application. So I've pushed everything back to the server. And now it's up to the testing team, the QA team, to continue the work on this project.
Okay, so now I'm taking back the control as a tester. First thing I will do is start once again an Android emulator, because we will use that one to test the application. So let me start this one. Oops, start. Okay. Voilà. And while it's starting, I can already show you the quality management application. So this is this rational quality manager, and I will now log in as a tester. So I use yet another user ID. So I'm logging in as this Tanush, who is the tester. And once again, we will see a kind of dashboard, again customizable, but it has in this case already been customized for typical kind of things which a test manager wants to see. And for example, if I look in this dashboard, I see here that one of the widgets tells me there is a story which is ready for testing. Developer has finished. I can hover over it, I can see what it is. I can also open that story if I want. So once again, as a tester, I can also look for developing my scripts and so on. I can look at what were the actual requirements, what is exactly expected, etc. Now, that work, we are not going to do it here because that has already been done. So we have already a test case associated with this story. Yeah, so and I can open this test case. So the test case can contain all kinds of information. It can be linked to test scripts, and in this case it is linked to a test script. There is actually a manual test script which has been linked to that application. If you want, it could also be linked to some test automation tools and automated scripts. In this case we haven't done that, there is just the manual script. And the tool can also obviously be used to manage the execution of those test cases. So I'm gonna go to the test case execution in this moment. And you see that here the tool, in fact, within the tool we have defined two test environments on which we should normally test our application. So there is the Android environment and the iOS environment. Now we don't have the iOS application here. We are going to test on the Android emulator, so I'm going to select this one and I'm going to run this test script. So now running the test script, as this is a manual script, will tell me what are the typical steps I need to do to go through the application. And they kept it quite simple here. They say basically log into the application and continue with the normal flow until you reach the choose organization page. So we're going to do that. So I'm here now in the Android emulator, and one of the things which you can see here, the application that is started in the emulator is the Worklight Application Center. So this is basically giving me the possibility to manage and see what applications are available, install the applications and so on. So if I look in the catalog, if everything went well with the build, and it seems like it has, there is now my GKA mobile application, which is in the catalog of available applications. It could be, in some cases, it could be many more applications, but in this case there is only the GKA mobile application. And I'm going to request to install that one. And for whatever strange reason, it looks like it never wants to do that from the first time, so there is some kind of bug in here. So I will ask it a second time. Okay, so like if you would install applications from any other application store, it requests me to confirm the installation, and it requests me to confirm that this application can have some right to perform certain operations on my device. So I click on install, so now it will install the application. So basically what it's doing is picking up the APK file from the local application store and installing it, in this case on the emulator. I could also do this on a real device, but obviously it's much more difficult to show you a real device here on the screen. So now I can open the application. So I run the application and it should give me now the same logon screen that you have already seen before. And so hopefully this time it wants to log on. Okay. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so I can log into the application and I get the kind of main menu, and I'm going to choose this operation. And now I'm basically at this page, choose organization page. So if I go back to my test script, I can already confirm that this first step worked out correctly. And then it says I need to select the find a local participating charity, so I will do that. Choose an organization, find local participating, and there it doesn't really do what I expected to do, because I expected it to show me a map with, so normally it should show me a map with some organizations. So actually I'm going to mention in the test execution that this doesn't work, so no look. And from here I can immediately file a defect. So I want to signal to my development team that something is wrong. So I'm clicking on this file defect. I'm going to say this is part of the mobile. I can set, okay, that's all okay. And you see that automatically, because I filed the defect from a test case, it keeps the information, so it automatically links this defect to the test script. So a developer later on, we will show you later, when the developer is going to need to fix this defect, he can exactly see where, in what test case this actually happened. So, okay, the defect gets saved. And I'm actually going to say for the rest of the test script, I cannot do this anymore, because I would normally need to select one of the charity organizations from the map, but as the map is not shown, there is nothing there. So I'm going to say that the other steps are basically blocked. Voilà. So done with the script, and now I can basically go back and look at the result. So you see that it kept track of this, so it automatically stored the execution result with the link to the defect. So if I click here on defects, it has this linked defect. I'm also going to mention that this defect is actually a blocking defect. Voila. So that, save that. Voila. So, and now the work as a tester is basically done. So I've run this test. In normal work I would probably run more and more tests. But for the demonstration, I'm basically finished as a tester, so I'm just going to log out of the application. And now I will switch role again, so now I become again the Scrum Master. So I log in as Marco, so now I'm again the Scrum Master. Okay. Yeah, and I need to switch to the change management. So and if there I look now in my dashboard on one of the tabs, I see here is a dashboard about testing, and I see that there is a new blocking defect that came in. So I can take a look at that, I can study what happened, etc. I can look at what test case it's linked to. All that information is kept within that defect. And okay, we're not going to look at all the details right now. I just decide this needs to be fixed as soon as possible, and I'm going to give it back to my developer. It's a high priority, and I want this to be done in the current sprint. I save it, and my work as Scrum Master is done for now. I can give back the control to the developer.
So let's go back with my developer hat there. Let's close this, and this. Go back to my work and refresh that, and I can see there is a new item in my inbox waiting for me, a failing test case in mobile donor can donate to nearby charity, blah, 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 blah. Once again, I can double click to see what's happening in there. I can accept this as planned for sprint 2. And I can also say, okay, I will start to work on that. Just look that the test plant is described there. The test script is there as well. I can access it from the links screen, so I can see the exact details of the test script that was used and where it blocked and why it blocked, and understand what I failed to test or I failed to verify before checking in my code a couple of minutes ago. So now that I know what I have to work on, I will once again say that I'm starting to work on this test case and going back to my project, my application. For this implementation, we choose to have one big HTML file with all the JavaScript function inside that. And I know that it's related to the map and to the display of the map, so I can look in my code the correct line for the invocation of the GPS geolocalization and the display of the map. And I can see on this line that the parameters I'm giving to my backend service are the latitude and the latitude. So obviously this is wrong. It should be the latitude and the longitude of the current position. So I'm changing that. I can test that in a browser. So for testing, it has to assemble the application, to deploy it to the server, to start the browser, to connect to the server. Here I am in my mobile application as seen from a web browser. I can log in and go to the screen that used to fail. Now Chrome asks me to if I'm agreed to look for my location. I say yes, and okay, there is another small bug, but the map is at least displayed. It's not centered on your position, but the geolocalization was done. I'm somewhere here in Europe, and I can see that it's working as expected. So as a developer, once again, I'm quite happy with this change. I can check in my code, team, check in, take my task, say that it's no more in progress, but it's resolved, to save it, save and deliver the change set for the rest of the team. So that's, I think, the end of our demo script. We show you the integration between two types of tools: Rational RTC to manage the change, to manage the defect, to manage the build, to manage the requirements as well, and Worklight, mobile application development tools. We can show you more about Worklight and RTC downstairs on IBM booth. And we show you also the integration between these tools. Worklight standalone doesn't have anything about defects or requirements, but the integration of the two lets you capture requirements, capture defects, capture change directly from the development tools, and have a very good integration between the two tools. And that being said, there is 7 minutes left for questions, so if you have any question, please feel free. So either we were extremely clear or very boring. I hope it's the first one. No questions? Okay. So we hope you enjoyed the talk and the demo. Thank you for your time, and have fun at the Devoxx conference. Thank you.